Welcome back to ABC News Live. It is the oldest still existing professional ballpark in the nation, and it's produced multiple Hall of Famers. Today, Major League Baseball is making history, playing its first ever regular season game at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, home to the Negro League team. Home to a Negro League team. Here is some history of that ballpark from our friends at ESPN.
You got over 55% of the Baseball Hall of Fame that'll play here. From Willie Mays being 17 years old playing here, to Satchel Paige getting his first professional pitch here, to Babe Ruth playing here, to Reggie Jackson knocking home runs, like, to the train tracks. So I consider this place like the holy grail of baseball.
Satchel Paige, Willie Mays. Wow. The San Francisco Giants and St. Louis Cardinals face off tonight wearing special throwback jerseys. They are honoring Negro League teams. The game taking on even more significance after Hall of Famer Willie Mays died Tuesday. He started his career at Rickwood Field, as you just heard, as a member of the Black Barons in 1948. Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro Leagues Museum, he joins me now from Birmingham, Alabama. He is there for that game. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. This is oh my gosh, it is a pleasure to have you. This is a massive tribute to the Negro Leagues. How did this come together?
This has been over 2 years in the making, and really it was bolstered by what we saw happen in Dyersville, Iowa over several years with the Field of Dreams game that took place there. Major League Baseball has this way of making these magical moments, and people were enamored with the guys coming out the cornfield and the game being played there. And I had a lot of folks reach out to me saying, why don't Major League Baseball do something to honor the Negro Leagues? And baseball listened, and this idea was birthed, and here we are now right on the threshold of an epic moment in not just Black baseball history or Negro Leagues baseball history, but honestly, Jay, I think American history, this salute to the Negro Leagues at Rickwood Field.
Well, on that idea of history, this game comes weeks after, as you know, Major League Baseball integrated Negro League stats into the official record books. It changed a lot of standings and rankings and things of that nature. You were on one of our ABC podcasts called The Forgotten League, and you talked about how you had fought for recognition for this league your entire life. What did that, in regards to the stats, mean to you?
Well, in so many ways, it was historical validation. Now, Jay, please understand, the players in the Negro Leagues were never seeking validation from anyone. They knew how good they were. They knew how good their league was. And quite frankly, the major leaguers knew how good they were. But I credit the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, for creating this opportunity that not only recognized the Negro Leagues for what we already knew it to be, a major league, but then to roll into the annals of Major League Baseball's history books, the records from the Negro Leagues. And all of a sudden, you see Josh Gibson's name at the top of several major statistical categories. And names like Oscar Charleston and Norman Turkey Stern and Chino Smith. These are names that most baseball fans have not heard about. But because you hadn't heard about them, don't mean they weren't great. And I hope that that is now a gateway into deeper understanding and wanting to learn more about the history of the Negro Leagues. And I certainly hope it drives people to Kansas City to visit the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
That point really sits with me, this idea that everybody knew how good they were. With that in mind, why has it, in your view, taken so long for this recognition?
Because the Negro Leagues had just toiled in anonymity. And Jay, as my late mother would say, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why this museum that we have in Kansas City is so important. We brought this Negro Leagues history to the forefront. This game moves us one more step closer to giving it a mainstream voice. And so there are gaps in the pages of American history books. So it had been ignored for years. And in the eyes of so many, it was almost like it never happened. And we're here to tell you that it did happen, and it happened in grandiose fashion.
What else can be done then, with that in mind, to further honor the legacy of these players?
Well, today I think is just the beginning. And it is so epic. This is a seminal moment for Negro Leagues history. There are over 50 Negro League players who are going to be recognized. Obviously, we're very saddened by the fact that the legendary Willie Mays, could not be here, and of course has since passed on, and we'll celebrate his tremendous life. But again, we're putting in the measures to make sure that Negro League's history continues to grow in scape and scale, and hopefully in the hearts and minds of those. And again, it makes this museum in Kansas City, which I believe is one of the nation's preeminent civil rights, social justice institutions, it just makes it that much more special.
You talk about Willie Mays. We mentioned earlier, he started his career at that field. He passed away 2 days ago. Help me put into words how bittersweet this moment is that we've lost him and this game is being played there, and also just what he meant for the game in general.
It was devastating to hear the news of Willie's passing, even at age 93. Because, Jay, there are just certain people who are never supposed to die. And Willie Mays was one of those. And we know that no one's going to live forever. But if anyone was, it was going to be Willie Mays. And so his passing is a tremendous blow for baseball history, for Negro League's history. But when you say the name Willie Mays, and if you are from that generation that saw him play, it elicits smile, joy. So we can't be sad. And what a tremendous platform we have tonight to celebrate his incredible life. He gave us so much, and he was so transcending. And he's bigger than baseball in many ways because he transcended race. When Willie Mays broke in on the scene after having played in the Negro Leagues, what did you have? You had white kids saying, "I'm Willie Mays," because they didn't see Willie Mays, the black baseball player. They saw Willie Mays, the great baseball player. And those vivid images of him walking through the streets of Harlem, playing stickball with the kids in Harlem. Who does that? Willie Mays. And that is why he's been so endeared, and that's why it's such a tremendous loss. But Willie Mays did exactly what Willie Mays was supposed to do. He brought us all together where it all began for him at Rickwood Field for an epic celebration of the league that gave him his start, the Negro Leagues.
And I should note for our viewers, there were pictures of you and Willie Mays on the screen as you were talking there. You were wearing that orange sweater. He was wearing a gray jacket, and you could see the joy on your face. There it is one more time. That is gorgeous. Bob Kendrick, what a way with words you have, sir. There are certain people you said that were never supposed to die, and Willie Mays was one of those. Bob, thank you for your time today.
Jay, my pleasure, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. For more on the Negro Leagues, be sure to check out that ABC podcast I mentioned, Reclaimed, the Forgotten League, as it uncovers the stories of some of those overlooked greats of baseball. It's available on all major podcast platforms. Thanks again to Bob.